I mean, today, again, could be 1,000 trillion, and then you have total collapse. So in order to preclude the possibility of systemic collapse, they merged Bear Stearns into J.P. Morgan Chase. And in order to teach a lesson, this is the lines that Bernanke and Paulson had, they wiped out the shareholders. But who are the shareholders? The shareholders are pension funds, are people who have their money in their 401ks, Bear Stearns employees, people who work their whole life and save for their retirement in Bear Stearns stock, and now the whole thing turns out to be not completely worthless, but might as well be worthless. And what's the mechanism by which the Federal Reserve attempts to rescue the economy? They lower interest rates. Now, I have three charts, which I showed you last week. I'll run through them very quickly. Go to the next slide, please. This is the United States 10-year Treasury bond, and this is it's a 6-month chart, and it went from 4% down to something like less than 3.4%. See it over on the right. Go to the next slide, please. This is the 1-year Treasury note, and they dropped that down to about 1.3%. 1.3% on a U.S. Treasury note. And go to the next slide, please. And this is the 1-month Treasury note, and as you can see, it pays virtually no interest. Come back to me, please. Now, how does the Federal Reserve get to lower interest rates like this? What's the mechanism? Do they have some kind of switch that they throw and they say, well, now the interest rate on this will be X%? I mean, physically, how do they do that? And the way they do that is they create money out of nothing, and they buy U.S. bonds across the yield curve. They buy 10-year bonds, they buy 1-year bonds, or whatever, and they keep buying them until the interest rate gets as low as they want. And the money to buy them, again, is created flat out of nothing, right out of thin air. And go to the next slide, please. And those of you who have been watching this program have seen this slide before. This shows the money creation in the United States from 1946 to present, actually to the end of 2007. In 1946, it was roughly 150 billion. These days, it's pushing 13 trillion. Come back to me, please. And again, all of this money is created flat out of nothing. And when they do that, it dilutes the purchasing power of money that exists. But much more importantly, and this doesn't show up yet, it dilutes the purchasing power of money that's been promised for future payment. Your Social Security, any annuities that you've signed up for, any rents that you get, any savings that you have, all of this gets diluted. And also, as they lower interest rates, interest that people would get on their Treasury bills. And the people who buy Treasury bills, the individuals, these are people who worked all their lives, who save their money, who do not want to make a risk in the stock market, who want to put their money in the safest place possible. They buy U.S. Treasury bills, and here the Federal Reserve, in order to bail out the Wall Street guys and the banks, creates all this money out of nothing, and these people who have saved, they don't get interest. So the interest that they should get, in effect, gets used to bail out Wall Street, but more than that, all of their costs go up. Go to the next slide, please. And this shows the cost structure in the United States after they broke the last tie to gold in 1971. It just started reaching for the moon. And one of the consequences of that is that as the cost structure in the United States went up, manufacturing, first labor-intensive manufacturing, and all manufacturing now become uncompetitive with places where they didn't do this, like China. Come back to me, please. So in other words, one of the consequences is that we've lost millions of industrial jobs, and for what? In order to bail out the Wall Street guys, in order that the banks can make these ridiculous profits, in order that these financial sector guys can buy $150 million private airplanes with saunas and hot tubs on the planes, 40,000-foot houses in multiple locations around the world, 400-foot boats, $62,000 lunches. That's why we're losing millions of jobs. That's why your savings are at risk. That's why your retirement is at risk. That's why your life is at risk. So these people can profit like that. Who voted for this? Anybody, any debate in Congress? Anybody do this? Go to the next slide, please. And they lie about the CPI. And you've seen this chart before. This is put together by John Williams at Shadow Government Statistics. The top line is the CPI based on a constant methodology. The bottom line is the jiggered CPI that the Bureau of Labor Statistics comes up with. Go to the next slide, please. And here's how this all turns out. And you've seen this picture before if you've been watching this program. The left-hand side is a street scene from Hungary in the 1930s. And what that guy is sweeping into the sewer is the Hungarian money. And on the right side, this is a scene from the Weimar Republic in Germany. And what this woman is burning is the German money. And in effect, the BTU value of the money is greater than the nominal value of the money. Come back to me, please. So how best to protect yourselves, and what advice ought to be given to retirees in order that they know they're going to have at least something at the end of the day, no matter what the Federal Reserve does, no matter what machinations these financial guys put them through, and that is to buy gold. Go to the next slide, please. These are U.S. Gold Eagles produced by the United States Mint. This is the safest, most efficient way for you to buy gold. Come back to me, please. Well, I'm running out of time, so I just want to run through the next two slides really quickly. Actually, skip the next slide, Josh, and go to one slide afterwards. This shows the 5-year price of gold. And as you can see, it's gone from something like $325, $340 an ounce. Today it closed at $947 an ounce. Anybody who bought gold during this period, and I've been talking about this for the last 3 years, has protected at least the purchasing power of that portion of their retirement, of their savings. Come back to me, please. If you talk to your Wall Street guy, your Wall Street advisor, your accountant, anybody who's in advice on retirement, they don't talk to you about gold. And the reason they don't talk to you about gold is because it doesn't generate any fees. And today, worldwide, the amount of money under professional management, this is savings, this is money that people are saving for future generations for retirement, comes to something on the order of $66 trillion. The fees for managing that money come to something like $500 billion a year. That's what they want to protect, not you. And you should be mindful of that. Wall Street is a fee business. It is not in the business of making money for the clients. If the clients make money, that is a happy accident. It is, their purpose is their bonuses and their fees this year, and they have a conflict of interest with the clients. And so the safest thing for the clients, for you, for everybody around the planet, is to take a portion of your money and to actually get physical gold. And in my view, again, this is my opinion, the amount of gold that you should have in relation to everything you have, the percentage should equal your age. So if you're 70 years old, 70% of your assets, if you really want to be safe, should be in gold. And as you can see from the last 5 years, you've got an appreciation that whole period. Plus, you don't have anything that goes poof over a weekend. It's not like you have all this gold on Friday night and on Monday morning it's gone. Well, I see I'm right at the end of the program. I've somehow managed to finish the slides. Again, I want to thank you very much for taking the time to watch the Larry Parks Show. I'm Larry Parks. It's an honor and privilege to present to you, and I hope you'll tune in again next week. And thank you very much, and God bless. And Gloria, you can end with that very last slide. This is the saying from the American Federation of Labor in the presidential election of 1896, 100 and some odd years ago. They say this, gold is the standard of every great civilization. It's always been true. It's true today. Thank you very much. God bless, and good night.